The Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. DR.Weerasinghe, emphasized on the importance of ensuring that the current reforms are seen through to the very end, as he believes that any reversal in the regulations could lead to the same crisis the country is facing. Speaking to Indivari Amavatha at Hyde Park on Other Derana 24, he said that the introduction of the new CBSL Act is one such measure that should prevent the country from reversing to the same situation, as the government would not have the influence and this bank as it did in the past through the Treasury Secretary and the provisions that allow the CBSL to fund the budget deficit.
Do you think we will take the right necessary policies that will be consistent regardless of change of government?
That's the one thing, getting people's buying in and getting overall people's support for these things to happen. Then the representatives always ask that people asking from them. That's the one thing. Other one is mainly the understanding, is communication, and also other part is that everyone should understand anything going beyond or differently, and we will go back to the same problems. For example, that is why we need to have a strong institutions and mechanism and rules and regulations in place to ensure at least prevent us going back. For example, these are some of the reforms that the government has committed. One is the central bank independence. That is to strengthen the central bank independence so that it would not be under any administration, would not go back to implement or have fiscal dominance in monetary policy. That is prevent that. Fiscal consolidation, the fiscal rules. There is a Fiscal Management Responsibility Act which is supposed to, the Parliament take actions if they miss the target. It is only explanatory thing and go to the Parliament, explain and then go back to the same thing. In this reform, the commitment is that you bring in several necessary laws that even the government within the Parliament, they will have to follow the same path, fiscal consolidation. If there is a deviation, there has to be automatic reversal and adjustment. And they come back to the same path within the institutional, strengthening institution, having those laws. That is why we call strong fiscal rules that should be followed by the Parliament under fiscal management, and also other process of independent budget office. And they independently look at all the government budget proposals under any administration, give their views, these are sustainable or not, or feasible. That independent checks and balances should be there. And independent institutions, the judiciary, the central bank, and other independent commissions through proper checks and balances, and strengthen those institutions and ensure those independent institutions would be able to carry out their policies independently, what is right for the country, not the most popular and right policies, not popular policies.
The Treasury Secretary is not going to be part of the new Monetary Policy Board. If you can explain to us about this and how such act is going to strengthen any reform agenda.
Even current Central Bank Act, we call Monetary Law Act, has in my view has sufficient independence, but there are certain weaknesses. Historically, why we are in this situation, mainly because of the fiscal policy and without understanding proper fiscal policy and monetary policy. Fiscal policy by the Parliament and Minister of Finance, monetary policy for the country by the central bank, independent authority. So when the fiscal policy dominating monetary policy and fiscal policy influencing central bank to print money as and when they want to print money, this is a major weakness. How that happened in the current Monetary Law Act, Central Banking Act, there is a provision the government, Minister of Finance can influence central bank to print money in simple terms to finance budget deficit, and the government can influence because there are two ways. One is there is a provision in the law. Second, not Secretary of Treasury sitting at the Monetary Board as one of the members. Now 5 members, governor is the chairman of the Monetary Board, Secretary of Treasury is the ex-officio member, then 3 independent appointed members. But when Secretary of Treasury representing Minister of Finance government at the Monetary Board, obviously there is a tendency because he has to, he or she will have to deal with their mandate, that is fiscal policy. When they find it difficult to finance budget deficit out of the market or other sources, obviously there is a tendency they would influence. That has been happened throughout several decades since central bank was established. That is the reason why we were having very high inflation historically in this country, because of the fiscal dominance and fiscal influence in the monetary policy. This is to address that. This is why Secretary of Treasury is no longer a member of the monetary body that governs the central bank. That's the first part. Second one, it will be prohibited for the central bank to directly finance budget deficit through subscription to the primary auctions and buying treasury bills directly from the primary auction. That's the second source. So what's the difference between public finance and the country finance? So if you look at the whole country finance, that includes your money in the bank, my money in the bank, and public finance is what is in the consolidated fund, taxpayers' money in the treasury account. If you look at the whole country finances, treasury finance is only 20% of the whole country finance. It's a subset of the whole country finance. So if the treasury, that 20% trying to control money in your account and my account, then it will be a disaster.